Okay, should we start?
We should start. Hi, we're two cold girls, and we have no idea what we're doing.
She said it fast. Okay, I'm Peyton.
I'm Kate.
And we're two
Cult girls. Two
Yeah,
cult girls.
we're two cult girls. And we like true crime. And obviously you do too. That's why you're here.
Or maybe you don't, but we're going to convince you do.
Exactly.
Okay, so if you're listening,
Yeah.
we're in my living room.
Yeah.
And it's glorious and grand, and I live in a really big place.
Yeah. It looks very similar to Jeffrey Epstein's house. It's a big mansion.
Yes.
Yeah, we're
Minus
in a big
the chained
place.
up miners.
Yes, minus the chained up miners. I'm finally legal. No longer chained up. Okay, should we talk about today's case? Should we just get on into it?
Wait, hold on. Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Guys, I asked Peyton this question before we started. I'm curious to know how many of us have ever dated someone who called their ex crazy.
Yes.
Like, were they actually crazy, or was it just they were still banging?
Yes.
Because that's going to lead us into this case.
You know, we've both been that girl, I feel like, maybe in
The
someone's
crazy
life.
girl?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
And we weren't. Well,
We weren't. Right? Wink.
we aren't this level of crazy.
No.
We're crazy.
No.
But we're not
We're not.
We're not.
We're not.
We're crazy, but we're not. Okay.
Who's ready to hear about psycho bitches?
Let's talk about psycho bitches. So we're going to be doing a Crazy Bitches series. That's our first series we're going to be doing with this podcast. And we thought that the case of Cari Farver was a great place to start.
Thank you, TikTok.
Yes. Thank you, TikTok. Honestly, I feel like TikTok is a great place to get a lot of really popular, like, true crime cases.
And a lot of misinformation.
Yes. Oh my God. Yes. We will get into that another time. All the misinformation on the stuff we care about on TikTok. It's
All of it.
that could be a whole 3 episodes in and
Oh
of
my
itself.
God, in itself. Just by social media is
Oh
full of
yeah.
shit.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
By the way, follow us on Instagram.
Yes, shameless plug. Follow us on Instagram. So Kate sent me this case one day because she was watching the ABC 2020 special on it.
Only because somebody mentioned it on TikTok.
Yeah. And before that, I had never heard of this
Never.
case. Never.
No.
No. It should be Jodi Arias level crazy, but it's not as known as that. And I feel like it's even
But this
crazier.
is almost crazier than Jodi.
That's what I think, yeah.
Like, because this is like next level. Like, this was just beyond lying.
Like, this was a truly evil, messed up person. And I'm not saying Jodi Arias wasn't,
But this is like full blown, meditated, thought
Yes.
out.
like,
I am just a psycho bitch.
oh yeah, totally. Yeah. So
yeah.
we should get into it.
Okay.
I feel like we're
You guys
teasing
ready?
a lot. Yeah, we're
Okay.
teasing them. Okay, so we're going to be talking about Cari Lee Farver today. Now, Cari Lee Farver was born November 30th, 1974, so that made her 37 years old at the time of her disappearance. Cari was someone who was known as being a very warm and welcoming person, and she had just an amazing smile, a very magnetic personality, her friends said. They also said she was the kind of person you could go to with just about anything. She was really non-judgmental. She seemed like that really cool aunt, you know what I mean?
She had the ant haircut.
Yes, she
Yeah.
literally looked like my Aunt Kathy, who was one of the coolest people ever.
Like,
Aunt
she
Kathy,
looks
if you're
like the
watching, I
aunt that
love
would
you.
have taken you to get a tattoo.
Yes.
And then not told your mom.
Yes, she would have been the aunt that
Yeah.
you could have called at a party, and she would have, like, picked you up.
And then bought you more booze.
Yes, and like
Yes.
McDonald's
Yeah.
or something. Yeah.
And nursed
yeah.
you through your hangover.
Yes, she just seemed so
Yeah.
cool. She seemed like a really artsy, creative person too. I don't know why. There's like clips of her wearing like bandanas and stuff, and she just seemed cool.
Yeah, but I don't know if that's like artsy or early 2000s.
That's true.
Cool.
That's true. But she was still cool regardless.
Yes.
Yeah, she was a cool person. Cari had a son named Max, and she was a single mother, and she absolutely loved being a single mother. A few years after giving birth, Cari was diagnosed with both depression and bipolar disorder. Cari was put on medication for this, and it seemed to help get her back on track, but there were times where Cari said she didn't want to take her medication anymore because it made her feel numb. And for people with depression and anxiety, and those who have been put on medication for it, I feel like they know what that feels like. I know a lot of people who I've talked to like that have gone through similar things and said they don't take it for that reason.
I mean, it's a terrible feeling. You feel nothing.
Exactly, yeah.
Like you're just void of emotion, and you can feel it inside of you. Like, you're supposed to have that feeling.
Right.
You just don't.
Yeah.
So you're unreactionary. Is that a word?
Question mark?
Word?
I think.
We're going to use it.
It might as well be.
To anything. Like, you don't feel what you think you should be feeling.
Yeah. It doesn't just shut off the sad feelings. It shuts off, like,
all of it.
them.
Happy, any point of emotion doesn't... You can't get it out.
Absolutely, yeah. And that was definitely the case for Cari in some situations. But other than that, she seemed like a very happy person. Both Cari and Max lived with Cari's mother, Nancy Rainey, in Macedonia. Macedonia?
I think that's right.
Yeah?
I think, yeah.
I'm terrible with names and states, so just expect me to butcher all of them.
Also, it's Iowa, so it's fine.
Exactly.
Sorry, Iowa.
Iowa, we can't even talk shit. We're from Wisconsin.
Have you ever driven through Iowa?
I would rather drive through Iowa than Nebraska. Nebraska's awful.
I would rather skip both those states together.
Yeah, well, we're going to talk about Nebraska too here, so it's literally the battle of the worst states in this case. Yes. That's what it seems to be.
Yeah.
But that's where Cari worked. She lived, actually, in Macedonia, Iowa. But she worked in Omaha, Nebraska. In Omaha, like you said. Yeah. She worked there, actually, as a computer programmer. She had just picked up a job there. And while she was there, she was having some car problems. And since she just worked in the area, she brought her car, which was a Ford Explorer, into a shop there. And that's where she met Dave Krupa.
Bum, bum,
Yes, Dave. Let's talk about Dave. Now, Dave, I got a bone to pick with you. You say you're this small town guy, but you were a player, okay? I'm not gonna victim shame. I just want to say that.
I'm gonna victim shame.
I know you're gonna victim shame.
You were a douche.
He was a major douche. I'm not gonna lie. He seemed like a nice guy. Like, if I would have just seen him walking down the street, I would have had no problem with the dude, you know what I mean? But as a love interest, he seemed not too fun. He was seeing a lot of women a lot of time. But what I do respect about Dave is he made it clear to those women that he was seeing other women.
I mean, he never sugarcoated it, which I guess, like, makes it better. Like, hey, I'm banging you, but I'm talking to her.
Yeah.
I also went on a date with her because I refused to delete my dating apps.
No, literally. I think that was the issue.
That was pretty much the issue.
Yeah. So in some cases where a crazy ex-girlfriend would have got upset about this case is where it goes to the absolute extreme.
Yeah.
About someone like Dave and a crazy ex. But
also, the odds of you finding a psycho crazy bitch online is, I mean,
so high.
You're going to.
Especially on a dating website.
I mean, how many dating apps and websites do you need to be on?
And this was back in like 2012, so like Tinder wasn't really a thing at all.
It was like Match.com and Cupid.com.
Yeah.
Was that it?
I heard Cupid.
Christian Mingle.
Farmers Only.
It was Iowa, Nebraska.
Yeah, that's probably what it was.
Probably
Farmers Only.
Do you like goats?
Do you milk your own cow?
Have you seen my fields?
Literally, that's definitely what this is. The vibe I'm getting. Who are we to talk? We are literally dairy farmers.
A field out my window.
Oh my god!
Sorry, guys.
No, this was back when like dating websites were a thing. So, I know people that have met crazy ass people from like Match.com.
Oh yeah,
and that's because back in like 2012 and stuff, like even before that, meeting people, it was all organic. So if you couldn't meet someone organically, it was like there was something wrong with you because it wasn't the age of social media.
I mean, you
MySpace
had
was
to break your car and go get it fixed,
right? To meet
the hot mechanic,
right? Totally.
who look nothing like the movies you watched.
No, not at all.
There was not like a Vin Diesel fixing that car.
No, or like a Channing Tatum.
No, this wasn't like Fast and Furious where all of a sudden
No.
there's a hot garage scene.
I wish it was. This would have been a lot
I
more
would
interesting.
break my car right now.
I would purposefully slash my own
I
tires.
would deal with the psychoness.
Literally. So Dave claims to be the small town guy. He had 2 kids actually with his ex-girlfriend Amy Flora, and when they split up, he moved to Omaha when he was around 36, and that was also in 2012. So this all was kind of happening in 2012. He took a job working at the auto repair shop where he met Cari, and it was his first time really on his own. He didn't really know how to meet anyone, so that's why he signed up for dating websites.
Well, and he even said, I was living that bachelor life.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, he was in a really crappy apartment with like not a lot, just trying to meet new people.
Yes, a college guy in his 30s, I'd say. Like that's what he was kind of feeling like.
Yeah, it was very like frat boy-ish. Like I just got my own place.
Right. Like
here's my futon.
Everyone come over. Yeah, that's what it was like.
I'm too afraid to be alone is what that actually says.
Honestly, if I were him in this situation, though, I would be. After what happens, he should be afraid
What
to
are
be
the odds
alone.
that like he's still alone?
I don't think he is with anyone from what I saw
I mean,
researching.
could you? Like, would you ever trust anybody ever again?
No.
I think we're jumping ahead, though.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I think we are too. Sorry, guys. Okay, so he worked at this auto repair shop in Omaha, and it was his first time on his own, and he didn't know how to meet anyone, so he downloaded a dating website, and that's where Dave would meet Shayna Elizabeth Goyer, who went by Liz. Now, Kate thinks Liz is just beautiful, don't you?
Yeah. I'm going to be that person. Listen, let me
you
help
can be that
you all
person.
out. Do not fucking take selfies from here. I don't know if this is like a generational thing. Fuck, I am old. But can we move it
Stop with
down?
the upward angles.
If you have to take a forehead selfie,
Yeah.
you're fucked in the head already. You're hiding something. I feel like if you're here, you're confident enough to want to take a selfie. Like you're feeling yourself for whatever reason.
Yeah.
So own the whole fucking thing and stop shooting your forehead. Please.
Thank you, Kate. Let's talk about Liz for a little bit. Liz was also a single mother with 2 kids around the age of Dave's, so they hit it off really quickly and began hooking up. Dave made it very clear to Liz that he still wanted to see other people and that they were not at all exclusive. 6 months into them hooking up, Cari Farver walks into Dave's shop, and he was immediately attracted to Cari and asked her out that day. Now, when Cari and Dave go out, they hit it off immediately, like way faster than him and Liz had. Dave actually invited Cari back into his apartment.
Oh, they hooked up on the first night.
Oh, yeah. But they both weren't looking for anything serious.
They did the deed.
They did the
if
dirty.
we're not sure what we're talking about.
As things were getting all hot and steamy, that's when Cari actually told Dave that she wasn't looking for anything serious. And Dave was like, fuck, yes.
Like he hit the jackpot, right?
That's exactly,
there was like this very unattached person who was okay with whatever else you were doing.
Just having sex with you and hanging out.
Just respect me enough to tell me what's happening.
Exactly.
But this is kind of strings attached, which I feel like as a single man in his 30s, like that's what you want. Right? Like that's
right.
You're not looking for anything serious because you don't think you can give it. And this girl comes along who's literally like, she's like a shining angel.
Literally,
compared to
she's
everything
outgoing.
else he's been with. Yes.
She's beautiful.
She's down.
She has a good job.
And doesn't need you to hold her down.
Exactly. So having her just be like, hey, I just want to hang out with you. I'm not really looking for anything serious right now. Dave was like, literally, like, give me all you have. I want all of you right now.
Perfect.
And so they just hung out for the night. And actually, when Cari was leaving Dave's apartment, she had passed Liz Goyer. Liz had come by unannounced to pick up some of her things that she had left there. Her and Cari had only seen each other for less than 10 seconds. This was a small interaction, a blimp in time.
But it was the one very small interaction that was going to change everything.
Everything.
The whole world for them changed after this.
And you were going to see why. It literally just this small interaction. So fast forward a couple days. I almost said a couple Daves.
Fast forward to a couple Daves. Wendy's Dave. Does that even exist?
What? Wendy's Dave? Is that what you said?
So like Dave is the founder of Wendy's.
Okay, I don't know if anyone knows that.
Yes, you do. If you know, you tell us. Because I promise you, not everybody is a fucking child.
Dave who?
Dave's the founder of Wendy's.
I don't know his name. Totally.
You know.
If you know who Dave the founder of Wendy's
If you know who
let
Dave
us
the
know.
founder is, yes, because you do. Some of you have to, right? I can't be the only one.
I hope you're not the only one.
He was on like all their commercials. He was the old guy with the white hair.
I just remember Wendy.
Who was named after his daughter.
Really?
Yes.
I don't know the history of Wendy's.
It was on a commercial, you guys.
Okay, I'll get back to the case then. So, like we said, Dave was kind of swept off his feet by Cari because she was so charming. Everything he could have wanted was right in front of him. So he was immediately like, yes, give me all of you, like we said. And when Cari mentioned that she worked just around the corner, he offered her to stay with him for a little while instead of her having to drive an hour to and from work every day, which was super sweet of him. I think you can kind of tell by the way Dave acted with Cari so fast that...
Oh, he fell.
Oh, he fell
He
hard.
fell.
Yeah. He definitely was into Cari. And she agreed to stay with him. She was like, oh, hell yeah, I'll stay with you, because she was into him too. So Cari was staying with Dave for around 2 weeks, and then on the morning of November 13th, 2012, Dave kissed Cari goodbye and then left for work, expecting to see her later that evening. A few hours after he left, Dave received a text from Cari saying that she wanted to move in together. And this really took Dave by surprise, because just 2 weeks ago...
She just said she didn't want any of that.
None of it.
Like, you're a great crash pad.
Right. I don't wanna date you.
I don't need any of that.
No. I'm on my own shit right now. I've been on my own shit for a minute. I don't really want that. So Dave was really confused. He was like, no, I thought we were just casual. We discussed not doing that. And when he said that, this made her freak the fuck out.
Like, didn't she start hitting him, like, just
one
text
back to
after
back
another,
to back
just, like,
for
rolling.
hours, the whole day, yeah. And then there was finally some silence, he said, and when he got home that night and Cari was gone, it was almost relieving for him to not see her there.
Yeah.
I mean, he was completely caught out of left field. It didn't seem like her, so I think he maybe was curious to, like, ask her some questions, like, hey, what the fuck did this come from? Like, you know what I mean?
And you know that dread, right? Like, that one where, like, you're just
like,
getting blown up, and then you're like, fuck, now
and you have to go home to it. Yeah. And Dave just met her 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
He didn't know how she argues. You know what I mean? Like,
well, they never got to
fight.
that point.
Yeah. So he probably really wasn't looking
like,
forward
up
to that.
until this, it was lollipops and gumdrops and rainbows.
Exactly. So he really didn't know what to expect going home. So when she wasn't there, he was like, okay,
thank God.
That's kind of good. Yeah. 2 days went by without any word from Cari until Dave received multiple more messages from Cari, pretty much following the same attitude as the ones before. And when Dave declined her, she got nasty. She was saying things like, I hate you, you suck, you ruined my life, I hope you die. Like, you know what I mean.
Well, I mean, at this point, he thought he had, like, a fucking gold unicorn.
Yeah.
Like, he thought he had hit the jackpot.
Yeah. So with all of these coming in,
do you think that, like, he kind of thought he dodged a bullet?
yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, I can handle text. I can
literally
block
wrote
this
that
shit.
in my
Did
notes
you
right
really?
there. Yes.
I know what I know.
He felt like he really dodged a bullet. I think that's what you just said exactly. That's funny. But no, yeah, exactly. He felt like, okay.
Because you can block text messages.
Exactly.
You can ignore them all day. I don't have to physically see this crazy person anymore.
Well, that's the thing. Dave tried changing his number so many times and blocking it out. And every time it would be a new number, a new email.
And magically.
It seemed like the messages just seemed to keep coming from Cari. And they, like I said, they never stopped. Daily, he was getting texts like this from Cari. Some of them were getting really, really nasty too, saying things like, I want to drive a knife through your heart. My favorite thing to do is stand outside and stare at you. No thanks.
Also, have you ever gotten messages like this before?
No.
Guys, have you? Yes.
What?
Yeah, I mean, not to this extent.
No.
But I will drive 45 minutes to your house to bury you in your backyard.
Okay, yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that same.
It's like, okay, I
crazy.
know you're not going to do it.
Yeah.
But still.
Also, can you
that's
get the
weird.
fuck off my phone?
Literally.
Like, why?
I don't want to talk to you.
Like, what part of your day made you go, you know what? I'm going to torture the shit out of this person.
Taking so much time out of your day. And that's really what happened here,
I mean, that's all it was.
Yeah, so much time. Dave was getting texts 24/7 nonstop.
It just becomes exhausting.
Yes.
And you have nowhere to hide.
Dave felt like every aspect of his life had been invaded. And one of the messages that she sent to him even mentioned what he was doing and what color shirt he was wearing. Yeah. Isn't that fucked up? Because when it hit that point, Dave really realized how serious she was getting.
Yeah.
But I think I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself with
probably,
this. Yeah, I think I am.
I think I would have quit my job and moved.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Like,
yeah.
gone.
I would have changed
I
my
wouldn't have
name.
said shit to anybody. I would have just been gone.
As soon as I would have been told what I was wearing, I would have been like, nope, peace out. Peace out. Nope.
I would have changed clothes.
I just want to make
colored my hair.
That is
and
the
been
worst
gone.
fear. Like having someone look at you through the privacy of your home.
And this is all coming from who they thought was like this amazing person.
Right. He
I
really
can't
let
say
his
it
guard
enough,
down.
but like a fucking unicorn.
Oh yeah. And then all of a sudden
just
turn devil. Now let's talk about what's happening with Cari Farver in Iowa. So you know how I said she hadn't been seen for 2 days since she left Dave's apartment? Well, it wasn't just Dave who hadn't seen her, it was her family too. No one had seen or heard from Cari, but her family was getting messages. So no one had heard her voice or seen her, but her mom and her son were still getting texts. And Cari had actually messaged her mother saying that she was going to take a job in Kansas. And that was really weird to her, like her mother.
But the son co-signed it.
Yeah.
You know, she was like, oh yeah, I think I remember her talking about looking at a job in Kansas.
Yeah. So it wasn't as out of left field as the rest of it seemed.
No.
But it still was odd for Cari to just leave without grabbing any of her things, bringing Max with her,
taking the love of
the
her
way she
life,
left. Yeah,
you know, I mean, why would she leave her son?
Yes, exactly.
To go look at a job. Also, I don't think that the job in Kansas was ever actually mentioned to the son. I think that was his. Oh yeah. Okay. No. Yeah. That's what it was. Like I'm pretty sure she mentioned that.
Yeah.
You know, it's like a way to
like
kind of
make him feel better. Yeah.
Of why
because
she
at
was
the
gone.
time she'd only been gone for 2 days, so it was weird, but it wasn't like scary weird.
I mean, he
was just trying to be like make sense of it. Like
you
you said. Yeah.
Like it was. She would never leave her son alone for that long.
No.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like even if it was 2 days.
Yeah.
Not without like physically calling him.
Yeah.
Because her son was her whole world.
Oh yeah.
You know, so she never would have just disappeared without speaking to him.
He was her everything.
All of it.
She wouldn't have gone without setting up a plan for him.
Right.
Or having like giving him money to do things. You know what I mean? Like like you said, he was her whole world.
Or even just to check in and be like, hey bud, like I have this, I'm gonna be gone for a few days. Like you're gonna stay with grandma. Like those.
Yes, but he didn't get that for a while. And before she went missing, Cari would call her mother Nancy every day and talk to her on the phone. But now she was refusing to call Nancy at all. And when Nancy would question her about this, Cari would start to get super defensive and say super mean things to Nancy. And that was really confusing too, because it wasn't like her. Nancy and Cari were so close that just wasn't like Cari. That's when Cari's son Max actually began receiving texts from Cari, and that's when she told him she was gonna move him to a town in Kansas and like a new school and everything.
Yeah.
And then Max started to get really freaked the fuck out.
Yeah.
Because he's like, hold on, I haven't talked to you. You haven't done anything, and all of a sudden you're moving my whole life.
And all of a sudden I'm moving.
Yeah. And you didn't ask me?
Yeah.
And like Max was everything to her. She would take into account his feelings. She wouldn't move him.
She would have taken her child into account and all of it.
The entire thing. That would have been the first factor.
The job, moving in the middle of like the school year.
Yeah.
I mean, all of it.
Yeah,
She wouldn't have just been like, hey, we're going now.
No, not at all.
Deal with it.
Exactly. Yeah. So they just seem to really not get good vibes from this situation at all.
making sense.
No.
Like, none of the dots connected.
That's what I was gonna say. None
You're
of them
welcome.
connected. That's crazy. Cari missed a lot of events, right? When she went missing, she wasn't there for Max's 15th birthday, her own birthday, Thanksgiving, her brother's wedding, and she even missed her father's funeral, and that's when her mother knew that something was definitely wrong. Like, she was not the kind of person to miss all of these events, especially her loved ones. Her brother's wedding and Max's birthday was pushing the line, but then her father's funeral, they were like, okay, no, she would have come back. Even if she had taken a job, she would have found time to come back for her father's funeral.
Even if she had completely fallen off her rocker, she would have made it to her dad's funeral.
Exactly. So that was very suspicious to them, and Nancy actually called the police to file a missing persons report on Cari after this because she knew something wasn't right. She just knew. So on one hand, we have Cari being looked at as a missing person in Iowa, but on the other hand, we have Cari being looked at as a stalker in Nebraska. And Cari's family doesn't know about the stalking yet. About any of the days. Any of the days. Why am I so obsessed with Dave's name? They don't know about any of the texts being sent to Dave. So let's talk about that for a second. In Nebraska, Dave is still receiving hundreds of texts daily, and most of them are now bashing Liz Goyer, which is super weird because according to Liz and everybody else, they'd only had that split 10-second interaction. Not even 10 seconds.
Literally passing each other, guys. Like, it wasn't like a, hey, how are you? It was one walking in and one walking out.
Like, I don't even think Cari looked up. Cari's starting to say things like, she's a fat cow, she looks like a lost puppy, maybe she'll do us all a favor and kill herself, she's a whore. It was just super nasty, mean girl text to Dave from Cari about Liz. Yeah.
The person she
Doesn't even know.
Never met.
Shortly after these texts began, Liz began receiving texts and emails from Cari herself, saying things like, you better stay away from my man, get your paws off my man, you know, like, literally, like, the most basic.
The epitome of crazy girlfriend.
Like, okay, if I ever was at the point where I was like, get your paws off my man. Euthanize me now.
Take you out back,
please,
and just put a bullet in you.
That's what I would ask.
Okay,
because when you get to that point, that's a whole level of like.
I mean, you have now leveled up the psycho.
Yeah, and you're gross.
Like, you start here
even
at your level of crazy.
Say you had a reason. Say your man was cheating on you,
and you're going after the wrong person.
Exactly. Like, you text the girl, "Stay away from my man." Like, that's just
talk to your man.
Yeah.
Follow that bouncing ball.
Exactly. So you should never have to say that sentence to someone unless it is a case where like this girl is like genuinely like on
she
your
just came out of nowhere and decided to like oh, you're dating my man, stay away. No, that's like, never the case.
That's
never like the dude is always at fault. Sorry guys, but like this girl didn't just come out of nowhere. Like the girl didn't just like you know what's gonna be fun, who can I fuck with today,
right?
Oh, you're dating my ex, okay, cool, we're going for you. That's not how the fuck this goes. Somehow there was a reason given for that person to be that way.
Right.
Whether it was like even just a random text message of, hey, how are you?
There was something.
A switch has now been flipped. And we're going to go crazy.
And bitch, she went crazy.
She went cuckoo.
She went nuts.
Cuckoo.
As nuts as nut gets.
As nuts as nut. Why did you sound like a British person?
As nuts as nuts gets.
As nuts gets.
It's nutty. Should I talk in the British accent for the rest of the time?
Can you?
You don't know how bad I've wanted a British accent.
Can you?
Kate, I talked in a British accent for like 2 weeks when I was in 3rd grade because I wanted to get a British accent so bad because I thought
that it would like if you just kept doing it, it would happen.
Because I know that people that come from like England here, if they stay here long enough, they start talking in an American accent
because they're hearing an American accent.
I thought if I talked in a British accent long enough, I would get one.
That is fucking adorable.
I was obsessed with British TV growing up. If you've ever seen the show House of Anubis, can we be friends, please? Because no one ever watched that show when I was growing up, and it was my favorite thing. One time...
If you've never heard of this show, can we be friends? Because I don't have a fucking clue what she's talking about.
One time, my mom called it House of a New Butt, and I cried.
Like you were offended?
I was so offended. Like, it was my show. Like, I personally
You
owned
created
it.
it.
Yeah, and it hurt my feelings so bad.
What was this show about?
So it was these British kids at like a boarding school. One American girl. She was like the main character.
Were you the American girl?
No.
Of course not.
I was the blonde
That was a
British
silly
girl
question.
that loved the color pink. That's who I was in my head because she had the hottest boyfriend in the show. I actually got a life-size cutout of him for Christmas one year. Yeah, I was obsessed. I was really obsessed. It was a problem. But the show, it was about like ancient Egypt. Yeah.
Okay.
And they like
Oh, I knew
had to
this.
hunt for like and they had to hunt for like pieces that put together a puzzle for like to find like immortality. It was crazy. I would love to rewatch it now because I think that I would either still love it or think so differently of it.
What year were you in 3rd grade?
Oh God. I don't know. How old are you in 3rd grade?
9.
2011?
Fuck me.
Is that right? I'm 19 in 2021. If I was 9,
Yeah.
2011, yeah.
Sure. It's close to it. I'm curious about like what the show looked like. But in
Oh.
2011, shows didn't suck nearly as bad as they did in like 95.
It was still pretty bad acting though. It was pretty bad.
Yeah, it's a show nobody's freaking heard of.
I want to show you it sometime. One day we'll watch it together or just like a snippet.
She's gonna get 2 seconds of my
I
patience.
know I am.
That's all she's
You're not
gonna
going to
get.
pay attention at all.
No.
But I'm gonna play the whole
Where did
thing.
you find us?
It was on Nickelodeon.
I don't know why I thought it was gonna be somewhere else.
Like what? You think I was watching Lifetime as a
Or
9-year-old?
Disney.
Oh, I hated Disney. I was a Nickelodeon kid. I didn't start watching Disney movies until last summer. Yeah, I saw like Cinderella when I was young, but I never liked to watch Disney movies. I saw Aladdin for the first time. In,
Like
July.
the new Aladdin,
No, the
like Will
first
Smith
one.
Aladdin,
The first one.
the cartoon.
Yeah.
Okay, well that's redeemable. That's good.
Okay. Good.
You're winning me back.
I liked that movie. It was good.
She said Nickelodeon like it was like everybody should have known it was on
Duh.
Nickelodeon. It was on Nickelodeon.
Obviously, it's House of Anubis. It was the best show ever. It was on Nickelodeon.
I for some reason thought you were gonna say it was on like PBS.
Oh my God, no, I was not a PBS kid.
Downton Abbey started on PBS. Go fuck yourself. You've never seen Downton Abbey?
No.
And you're obsessed with British.
Well, it's
People.
British. Oh, that makes sense. Downton Abbey. Yeah, that totally makes sense. Okay, I'll watch it.
It's actually really good.
I'll watch an episode of that if you watch an episode of House of Anubis, just to tickle my pickle.
I will yeah.
Okay, awesome.
Okay.
You guys heard it. She made the deal. You heard it.
I mean, did
Let's
I
shake. It's on camera. She shook everyone.
Fuck
We're gonna
me.
do it. You agreed. We got off track.
Way off track. Sorry.
Shortly after, Liz starts receiving texts from Cari, like the stay away from my man text. So Liz calls up Dave and she's like, oh my God, crazy Cari is stalking me now too. How did she get my number? And Dave's like, oh my God, Liz, I feel so bad for you. How did this happen? And they kind of bond over the fact that Cari's now stalking them both.
I mean, she pulled the ultimate card.
Oh,
right?
yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like, I'm gonna gain
Like,
sympathy
help.
because now we're going through the same thing.
Yeah,
Like,
help
nah.
me. She's stalking me. And she really did get sympathy from Dave because he felt so bad.
Yeah.
Because he's the one who started seeing this girl. He brought her into their lives, and now she's harassing Liz
He was
too.
blaming himself
Yeah.
for the drama that created.
Yeah, exactly. So about 10 days after Cari's disappearance, Liz comes home and pulls into her garage and sees "Whore from Dave" spray painted on the walls of her garage. So now it's crossed a line because this person, Cari, is now inside their homes, vandalizing their homes. Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. It's getting scary. So she calls Dave, freaking out, and then she calls the police. I don't know why she calls Dave for... Actually, I know exactly why she calls Dave first.
I mean, we know why.
Yeah, she wants Dave to feel bad for her. You know, it's very obvious. But
So frustrating. If you don't know this case, I apologize for the disdain on my face.
Yes, and just for us completely spoiling most of what's happening.
I know, I'm sorry. We're not. I'll stop.
No.
We'll get better at this.
So they call the police, and the police get there, and when they ask her who she thinks may have wanted to do something like this, she says Cari Farver. And Dave wasn't with her when this was all happening, so when Liz is talking to police, she's just like, well, this girl Cari has been stalking this guy I saw, Dave. We were seeing the same guy.
So naturally, it has to be her.
Yeah, right? It's
I'm not just a hated bitch.
No. So that's the first time that they're getting Cari's name in the police department. So police see Dave as the common denominator between the two. So they go to Dave's shop and they pull up on him and they're like, yo, what's up with this Cari girl? Because she's actually been missing. And they were thinking Dave did something because he's the last person to see her alive. And Dave pulls out his phone and he's like, no, look at all this. She's been harassing me and stalking me. She's crazy. And they're like, oh, okay. And with Cari's background of mental illness, they start to just think that she was on a psychotic break.
Yeah, that she just went off her meds.
Yeah.
That, like, she just said fuck it and snapped and abandoned life.
It's so frustrating because just because you had depression and bipolar disorder doesn't mean you would do that at all. No. If anybody who knows about mental illness knows that's not the case.
It was the easiest
it was the
for them
cop-out.
to get.
Yeah.
It was okay, well, she was bipolar, so
she must just be crazy. Yeah.
She just flew off her meds.
Right.
Because she didn't like taking them anyways, remember? So
exactly.
why wouldn't it be that?
Right. And so police just excused it as that, and without really any evidence of where Cari was, it just kind of kept going. And as the winter went on, there was still no sign of Cari besides the texts and emails to Dave, Liz, and her family. So Cari went missing in November, and now it's starting to turn into like December. It's getting really cold, and Cari's family is starting to worry because she didn't take any of her things with her. Her coat was still there. I think her purse was still there. Like
basically her whole life.
Everything.
Besides the small little bag that she took because she was only supposed to stay for 2 days.
And the clothes on her back.
Yeah.
Like it was all just she had nothing with her. Then on one cold day in January, Dave arrives home to his apartment complex to see Cari's black Ford Explorer parked in his parking lot. He recognized the car right away because he had worked on her car before, so he knew the ins and outs of that entire car, and he snapped a photo of her license plate and sent it to police to come recover her car. Now, police did search the car. They searched it multiple times, and they found no DNA besides a single fingerprint on a mint container in the cup holder in the center of her car. That was the only thing that didn't belong to Cari in that car. There was nothing. So they just assumed that maybe whoever was sitting in the car, like at some point had the mint container, but it was the only lead they had, but it didn't match anyone in the database, so it went nowhere.
How the fuck do they think they got it there?
Right.
Like how the car didn't just like poof appear.
And how was the car so clean from DNA?
I mean, not even hers. Like, not even her DNA was in that car.
No, it was so
clean. Listen, you will find hair all over my car.
Oh, yeah.
Fingerprints everywhere.
Snot.
How is there not even her own DNA in this car? And they didn't think this was weird?
No.
They just,
I have a lot of frustrations with the police in the beginning of this case because I understand there wasn't much they could do because Cari was an adult and could easily leave on her free will. But with how weird everything was, they just wanted to excuse it and they didn't really do much.
It was almost like they didn't care.
No.
Because it didn't even strike a red flag.
No.
Like there wasn't a thought process. There was just like, it's clean. There's nothing in it. Yeah. We'll take it. Nah.
That's exactly what it was too. And that's where it stayed for a while. It was a dead lead. And after they found Cari's car, her mother was sure something had happened to her daughter. Now, she always had a weird feeling about something, but after they found her car, instinct. Oh yeah, it was immediately like, okay, she's gone. And her mother actually said she had a dream where Cari's father, who died shortly after Cari went missing, or I think it might have been like right when she went missing.
Yeah, it was like right in the
funeral.
Beginning. Yeah, because she didn't go to the funeral.
Yeah, so Cari's mother had a dream that her father, Dennis, came to her in her sleep and said, don't worry, Cari's with me now. Which is just so, like, chilling and heartbreaking.
Also, if you're any kind of spiritual or just
we totally are
in signs, and because we are,
And I believe that could have happened.
I 100%. I 100% believe that her husband came to her in her dream for a reason.
Yeah, because he knew she was up all night worrying.
It's that worry.
Yeah.
I mean, that constant, like, that feeling where, like, you're not sleeping.
Yeah.
It's where your mind always is.
Yeah, and he was, like, their guardian, you know? And he came to let her know, like, stop worrying.
Stop worrying.
She's okay. I got her.
She's better now.
Yeah. We're going to fast forward to about 5 months after Cari's disappearance because there's still nothing. Nancy receives a call from a man saying that Cari is at the Sienna Francis homeless shelter and she wants her to come pick her up. And for someone, like I said, Nancy, who is like almost kind of losing that hope, for someone to get a call like that, like that just brings you so much hope.
And it's a homeless shelter, so it would almost be like she did go off her meds.
Exactly.
And she did just fall completely off the rails.
And then she finally broke. And it makes sense if she would be at a homeless shelter, why she had none of her things. Yep. Like if she was really just living on the street like that.
Yeah. Out.
Yeah, exactly. If you can hear Kate's cat.
Did you hear my cat? I'm sorry.
No, don't be sorry.
What do you need?
Dee, you wanna come say hi? I think that was either hi or no. I don't.
Oh my God.
Take it away. So when Nancy gets this call, this was huge for them, and she calls police, and they meet her at this homeless shelter. And when they meet her, police tell Nancy to stay in the car, and they're gonna go in. And they went in, and then came back out shaking their heads, and it wasn't Cari.
I'm not a mom. Okay, I'm not.
Right.
I don't have children. I have a cat who's walking all over the stable right now. But if my child has been missing, and you kind of get your hopes up that you might have a chance. Could you just imagine
how heartbreaking
that pit, that just complete despair when the cops come out, because you're almost reluctant.
Yeah,
reluctant, but you still want to know.
So
then you go with these hopes. Okay, maybe this is it. We can move forward. We can fix whatever this is.
Trying not to get your hopes up too high, but you can't help it.
Oh my God, I think I would have thrown myself in front of a bus.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if I could have handled that sense of a letdown.
Oh yeah. That's a huge disappointment there.
I can't even. My heart breaks for her.
She went through so much in this case for how much of an amazing woman she was too. Like Nancy seemed like the kind of mother that you'd want to have. Cari came out so great. How do you think? You know what I mean? Nancy was just a sweet woman. So that was really disappointing for them. Even after this is happening, Cari's family is still receiving texts from Cari, and they seem to be getting more angrier. And like I said just a few seconds ago, Cari's mom was so sweet, and Cari and her were super close. So when the text from Cari started to be bashing her mother and saying how awful of a mother she was, it was almost like it was hurtful for Nancy, obviously, but it was almost like, I know this isn't you.
It was so out of character.
Yeah, I know this isn't you.
Angriest, she never would have spoken to her mother that way.
Yes, exactly. And it was terrible to be receiving messages like that from her after not seeing her for so long. And Cari's son Max was getting really upset with all of this too. And as you could fucking imagine, I mean, I'd be so mad at my mom. She just disappeared and wasn't acting like herself. I didn't feel like it was her, and she was saying these mean things to the people that care about her. I'd be like, okay.
I think I would have been meaner than he was.
See, he wasn't even mean. He was just fucking smart.
Yeah.
Because if I would have got what happens right here, that's how you know. That's exactly how you know. So Max decides one day to message Cari on Facebook, and he said, "Hi." And Cari replies, "Hey, little man, how are you?" And this is where Max got really smart. I love what he did here, because I feel like I wouldn't have thought about this for a while.
No, I would have just lost my mind.
So Max messages Cari and says, "I have 3 questions. What's my middle name? What was our first boxer's name? Who was my best friend as a little kid?" And she never responded to that message. Never. She couldn't answer the questions because she didn't know. Because it wasn't Cari.
Of course not.
She didn't know. And instead, she goes to her Facebook wall and writes a long message, or status, whatever the fuck it's called on Facebook. I don't know.
Status?
I use Twitter.
I use Twitter.
I like Twitter better.
Nah.
Sorry. But she writes one on Facebook, one of those little handy doodahs, and basically just being a
You guys
bitch.
remember when we were talking about old people words?
Handy doodah.
Handy doodah.
Handy doodah. It's a good phrase. Start saying handy doodah more.
It sounds
I feel like I should be
like
skipping.
a motion in a porn.
A handy doodah?
Get in there and give a little handy doodah.
Why can I actually see what you're talking about? Like, it makes sense. A handy doodah.
A handy doodah.
Yeah. It's like mature MILF porn.
Mature
I'm gonna give you a
MILF.
handy doodah. Is mature MILF?
What?
That's already a MILF, isn't it?
Why do they have a grandpa voice?
I don't know. I don't watch grandma porn. I don't know what it's like.
Is that a thing?
Is it?
Grandma porn?
I don't want to know.
Like, do you think that there's just like a whole genre
Plethora
of like
of
60
ladies?
and up? Just
Let us know if you.
that's just the skin bouncing. That's not even touching.
Oh my god, I don't even want to know. I
like the-
don't want to know.
No,
I'm
get
okay.
Here.
I'm okay.
Get over here and give Granny a little handy doodah.
A handy doodah.
Handy doodah.
But she writes a handy doodah on Facebook. Don't spit out your water. And she's basically being just a bitch. It's so sassy. She goes on there and she's saying, I've answered enough questions to prove myself. I am who I am. Leave me alone. I'm not missing. I'm fine. Stop asking me things. Okay. Then why don't you just answer the question, Cari?
Also, why do you have to mention you're not missing?
Yeah, no one said anything.
Nobody said you were.
I mean, they did file a missing persons report.
But like, it's not like they're just like, oh, you're missing. Where have you been?
Yeah, well,
it
they
was
were
almost
kinda.
like, I'm gonna protest too much.
No, that's like the definition of sharing too much information.
You basically just told on yourself.
Yeah, yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. And which is done a lot in this case. It's ridiculous. So, gonna fast forward to 9 months after the disappearance. So, as you can see, there's a lot of gaps.
It went on for so long.
Because they didn't do anything, and it's just so frustrating in this case. But I understand where there was a lack of evidence. But I mean, they could have
There just
tracked
wasn't
IP
anywhere for them
addresses
to
or
go.
something.
There-
Yeah, there was no lead.
no.
As far as they were concerned, there was no one who would have done this to Cari, so it
Yeah.
didn't make sense. So 9 months later, Dave and Liz are still receiving texts too, and like I said, they kind of bonded over this, and they got back together. A lot of the time, they would receive texts from Cari while they were together, and both their phones would go off at the same time. So, like I said, it was a bonding experience for them. They'd be sitting there, and both their phones would light up from Cari, and they'd be like, "Oh,
look at the crazy
yeah,
shit.
she said she wanted to kill me.
Oh,
Oh, she said she
weird.
wanted
She's
to
gonna
kill me
kill me
too. Yeah, like it was exactly like that.
So annoying.
Yeah. And even though it became like a joke to them, it was still becoming very real and very scary, and things began to take an even scarier turn. Dave receives an email from Cari, and he opens it up to see a photo of what looks like Liz tied up in the trunk of a car. So Dave gets that email from Cari being like, I tied Liz up. She's in the trunk. I'm going to kill her unless you call her.
He gets the picture too.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. She's tied up in a trunk. She's got like duct tape on her mouth.
So much work.
It literally looks like a selfie. It looks like a selfie of Liz tied up in the trunk of a car. I'm just going to say that. So Dave calls Liz and he's like, hey, are you tied up in a trunk right now by any chance?
I'm talking to you.
No, literally. That's what she's
Like-
like. She's like, ha, no, why?
I answered my phone, weirdo.
Literally. Like, you're so silly.
Yeah. But wasn't there like a, I've kidnapped her, you have to do ABC, or like there was something. No, they wanted him to go on Facebook or something and say, Liz is a terrible human. You know what I mean? Like, whatever.
Just talk shit about Liz.
Just talk shit.
Yeah,
Go
talk his
nuts.
shit. Yeah, and there was actually, right after this, Dave receives an email from Cari with a link to an obituary for Liz. And it basically said that Liz was a whore and a man-stealer, and, quote, I'm glad she's gone.
I want my obituary to sound the same.
Right?
Here
I'll be
lies
unsatisfied. Whore.
She was a giant bitch.
Fat whore, man-stealer.
Cow.
Such a terrible person.
May she rot in hell.
Exactly. And that's what Liz's obituary said. Everything was really starting to freak them out again because of these things, because now there were like serious death threats here.
Yeah.
And it was made even worse when Liz's house was set on fire. which is just insane and so real. Liz calls Dave, freaking the fuck out, and says her house is in flames and that Cari did it. She knows it was Cari. It had to be Cari.
It's not electrical. It's not any other reason.
No, it had to be Cari.
Of course.
Because she's crazy. She lost almost all of her belongings in this fire, including her 2 dogs, a cat, and her pet snake.
Could you imagine?
No.
Could you imagine?
No. I would be devastated.
Oh my God, beyond.
If I lost an animal in a fire. Devastated. And of course, Liz's reaction has nothing to do with all of her things at all. There is actually an audio recording of Liz talking to responders at the scene, and we can play that clip here. But it's just, she immediately just starts pointing the fingers at Cari.
I mean, the fact, like, my house is burning. It was clearly her. Fuck the fact that, like, all my animals are dead and I've lost everything.
Yeah.
Just, that is.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's
hold on.
insane. So we're going to play that clip here.
From what I've seen so far, looking inside, it's pretty obvious this is an intentionally set fire.
The guy that I'm seeing, he has a girlfriend he dated for 2 weeks, and she's been stalking me since November.
Do you know her name?
It's Cari, C-A-R-I. She has made threats towards me and my kids. She would kept texting me telling me she wanted to kill me and my kids. You would think they were married as much as she's stalking me. She won't leave me alone. She will not go away. I just wish she would go away.
I just wish she would go away.
I just wish she would go away. I just wish.
Does anybody feel bad?
Ugh. It makes me mad. It makes me so mad. Because she doesn't even care about the fact that her dogs, her cat, her snake. Thank God her kids weren't there.
I feel like she wouldn't even cry about that.
No, it seems like it. All she cared about was Cari. She did this. I just want her to go
It was
away.
Cari. It was Cari. It was Cari. Tear.
I don't know if my house was on fire, who did it? I wouldn't even be thinking about how it started.
No, I would just
Worry about my stuff, my cat.
my house.
Yeah. And then worry about how it was started after.
When you
and
have
then,
a chance to calm down for a
Right,
second.
right.
But like your initial reaction to your house being on fire shouldn't be like, it was her. I know it.
Totally.
The fuck? You fucking psycho.
No, because how do you know it was intentional? Anyways, so Dave actually ended up purchasing. I'm illiterate. Dave purchased a gun after this because this really freaked him out, because now it wasn't just over the phone spray paint, because she actually did end up spray painting the front of his job with Dave Beats Women, which is terrible.
Dude, they're poor employer.
Terrible.
Like that
on his
poor
job.
man's job.
Like that could ruin his entire life.
I mean,
right
first
there.
the cops come in to question you.
Right.
And
so
now
that
this
makes you
is
look
spray
terrible.
painted.
And he just started working there that year.
Yeah.
So it
He
makes
was
him
new.
look awful.
I mean, you were the new guy.
Yeah. So he wasn't really getting a good impression
No.
around Omaha. So that just really sucked for him. So he bought a gun because he was like, okay, she's not just spray painting anymore. Now it's like, it's
personal.
real. Yeah. She's coming to our houses.
Yeah.
You know? And it just seemed like there was a line she wouldn't cross. He was getting really fearful for his life. So about a year and a half after Cari's disappearance, it was a whole year and a half later in January 2014, Dave actually tells Liz that he doesn't really want anything serious anymore and that he's going to start seeing other women. And it appeared that Cari had gotten wind of this too.
I forgot about this part.
Yeah. Yeah. And so somehow every woman Dave was interacting with, Cari seemed to be getting a hold of. Even if he had just like messaged her hi on some dating website, somehow Cari was sending death threats to that woman too.
How, if they thought that she still existed, okay, that she was still roaming the streets of Omaha, how did nobody ever see her?
No.
You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't...
I thought she was in Kansas. How is she looking at my window in
Well,
Omaha?
I mean, Omaha's big, but it's not like you're not going to run into somebody at some
or
point.
that, and it's also not off the grid where your cell phone records wouldn't show you anywhere, your credit card wouldn't be used anywhere, you're not spending any money.
I mean, so you just went underground.
Forever.
But
For
you came out to send text messages.
Years. Right.
Like, how?
How are you living?
How?
How are you paying your cell phone bill without using a credit card?
And nobody sees you.
And they're not even thinking about it.
No. Ugh.
It's very frustrating. It's so frustrating. So Cari was sending all these nasty texts to all the women that Dave was talking to online, including his ex-girlfriend Amy Flora, and that was the one who was the mother of his 2 kids, and she started being threatened and harassed by Cari. Another woman who was being harassed by Cari was one of Dave's old high school friends named Heather Twed. I'm gonna say Twed.
Sure.
I'm gonna say Twed. Heather Twed. And Dave started seeing her again, and she got to witness some of the craziness firsthand, because one night she drove up there to hang out with Dave, because I think she lived like an hour away.
She was somewhere in Iowa.
Yeah, she was a little bit farther away. So she drove up there to spend the night with him and hang out. And she said that the entire time they were hanging out, his phone was just blowing up like crazy. And at one point, they even saw the doorknob jiggle. They saw the doorknob jiggle, which I would be so freaked out.
I would have been out. That would have just been enough.
Honestly, props to her, because of, like, I'm pretty sure he warned her before she came over about Cari. I would not get involved.
Back this up. Hold on. If you're seeing a guy and he says, ignore my phone, my crazy, not even girlfriend, my crazy hookup won't leave me alone.
That's called a red flag.
That is a big fucking red flag.
Yeah.
Like, that's not just like a
it's not orange. It's red. That bitch is red.
It's not a teeny red flag.
It's a big one.
That is like a holy fuck flag.
Yeah.
That would have been enough for it.
Granted, it wasn't his fault in this case, but that is...
But you don't know
Exactly. Like, she has no idea.
No.
That's like...
It would be enough for me to not travel to see you. Mm-hmm. You sort that shit out first.
But I'm guessing because they were friends in high school, it wasn't really like...
You're in your 30s.
I know. But I'm guessing it seemed like they were really close, though. There was pictures of them all throughout high school. Like, they seemed to be really good friends. So I think it was just like a case where they had already been close, so she didn't really care. Like, if it was a new girl, I still think it's weird regardless. But if it was a new girl, it would have been super weird. But
I think
this was her longtime friend.
My freaking high school boyfriend messaged me, and these were the things leading up to. Yeah. Please don't ever call me.
Please don't.
It wouldn't make me want to rekindle anything.
No, that's true.
You know, like, there's
but she could have been at a point in her life where she was ready. I don't know, Heather.
I love your optimism. I enjoy it. It's great for you.
I'm trying.
But there's no fucking way in hell.
Yeah, no. There's definitely something weird about that. But she seemed like a nice girl from what I saw.
No, I'm sure she's extremely nice. Yeah. Like, I'm not saying anything against her.
No, but it is
niceness.
Weird. Like, I'd be like, bitch, get out of there.
Like, yeah. Like, if this were a scary movie. Yeah. Say that we're watching this. She'd be the one that we were like, bitch, run.
Literally, like, behind you. Behind
Get
you.
The fuck out. I would be standing in the movie theater annoying everybody.
Well, I think she realizes this after what happens this night. So after the doorknob is jingling, Dave and Heather are in bed, and I don't know if they were getting steamy or if they were just like heading to bed, but all of a sudden they hear a loud crash, and they look over, and a brick got thrown through the window.
And she said, to her, it sounded like a gunshot.
Yeah, oh yeah, she said it sounded like a gun, yeah.
Which is scary either way.
Regardless, imagine knowing that situation and then that happens. I would have been like, peace out. I don't know if she stayed the night after that. I wouldn't.
The door handle jiggling.
That
would have been enough to get me in my car.
Oh my God.
Because you're here somewhere.
But I would have been so scared to leave.
I don't go, fuck.
I'd be like, we're calling a police escort to get me out of here.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, call the cops.
I don't know why he didn't every time something like that happened. I would have called every time.
Because he didn't call them after that. Because
she's on the perimeter. You know what I mean?
Like, she's present. She's there. Somewhere here.
And this woman has been missing for almost 2 years now. Is at my front door.
Yeah.
Come here. She's going to be in the area. She can't go far. She doesn't have a car.
Did they know in Nebraska that she was part of a missing persons case?
I don't think it got communicated until they saw Dave at the auto shop. So at this point, they knew.
Okay. So bricks being thrown through a window.
I don't think the Iowa police I don't know if the Iowa police knew, but I know the Nebraska police knew about Iowa. So they had to have communicated.
So somehow.
Somehow they're ignoring everything.
Did he call the cops when that happened?
No, not that I had records
The
of. Oh,
fuck?
yes, he did.
He
yeah,
did?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he called the police. And actually, oh my God, this is the part. Okay, I forgot about this. Yeah, he calls the police, and then Dave brought Heather to go to Liz's house because he wanted to check on Liz.
Oh, that's right.
How fucking
The brick
weird
goes
is
through
that?
the window.
So then Dave takes
We're going
his
to pack you.
hookup to go to his other hookup's house to make sure she's okay. Which is so weird.
Why was that the thought process?
No, I don't know. Dave's gotta have some magic fucking dick.
It's made of gold.
It has to be for both of these women to be okay with this.
How did he get...
How did he get Heather to come with? And why did he think
No,
Liz would be
but like
fine?
all these girls are just on board.
Oh, on board.
Dude, he hung.
Literally.
Hung.
He has to be like a fucking racehorse.
Because he's not rich.
No.
So his dick is like this. It has to be.
Dave's watching and he's just...
Sorry, Dave,
Man.
if you're not. But we said you are.
What do you mean I'm not rich? I work at an auto body shop.
But they said I had a big dick.
Exactly.
So it's fine.
That's the equivalent of Ariana Grande trashing Pete Davidson and being like, well, it's okay, he had a big dick. You know what I mean? Pete hated that.
Do you guys really hate that?
Pete did.
Why though?
I don't know.
Also, ew for you knowing that.
Honey, I know everything about Pete Davidson. You know that. I have an obsession with Pete Davidson, and Kate thinks he's disgusting. And I get it. I totally do. But I can't help it.
That's because Pete is the guy that would spit in your face, bend you over, do a line off your ass crack, and then smack you.
If that doesn't sound like a good time, I don't know what does.
It doesn't.
It does. It kind of does.
It kind of a little bit does though, right?
Right?
Just
Like a little bit. Back in
Just
back
don't
in the
spit in my
days.
face.
Yum. I'm sure it smells like tobacco.
Just smells like musty balls and cigarettes.
Yeah. I thought you were going to say mustard for a second, and I could totally see that. Him smelling like mustard.
Fritos.
Like the chili cheese kind.
Yeah. Like the ones that you can smell when somebody opens them next door.
Yeah. And it smells like an armpit and a dirty vagina had a baby.
With really shitty cologne
Yeah.
over the top of it.
Like the kind you buy at, like, I don't know, Rue 21.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But with a pack of Newports.
Yes. Marlboro.
No,
Marlboro.
he seems like a Newport man.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, because Marlboro's too popular now.
He seems like a Newport or
Newport's the
Pall
classic.
Malls. Like the very like...
the original.
Ugh.
Yeah. Okay.
You're gross.
Anyways. Count how many times Peyton said, anyways.
Everybody, you should have to drink every time Peyton says anyways.
Oh my God, that'd be a fucking fun drinking game.
If
Get
you're
plastered.
sober by the end of this, you're doing it wrong.
Literally.
Seriously.
Then you missed a couple.
Yes. Or smoke a bowl. You have to take a hit.
Yes.
Either way, I need you to not be sober at the end of this because we're funnier when you're
I need you to not
sober.
be sober at the beginning, so the whole thing's funny. But I want you to be really not sober at the end.
And if you're going to drink, don't drive.
No. Be safe.
Be safe. Be smart.
Yeah. If you're listening, me and Kate just tried to high five and completely missed.
We failed.
That's a perfect
I'm
segue to
sorry.
move on.
Yes, okay.
So after 2.5 years since Cari went missing, the case had gone cold. 2.5 years. And they just dropped off. And
Because they didn't try
no, they didn't try at all.
at all.
No.
They just figured, it's another crazy bitch. It's
Yep,
fine.
she's off the rails.
It's
Whatever.
fine. It's also Omaha, so I feel like it's full of crazy people.
Yeah, so it wasn't anything new.
No.
But Dave and everyone were still receiving messages from Cari, but there wasn't much police could do or would do at that point.
No, they never even tried to track.
No, which that would have been my first thought is like,
And maybe
where are these
because it
messages
was
coming from?
2012, so like that wasn't...
I don't know if it was a thing then.
I mean, I don't think as much.
Yeah.
It's not like cell phones were at the peak
Right.
of their technology.
So it wasn't
it's
like
not
their
what we
first
have
thought.
now.
Yeah.
Like iPhones were still a brick.
Right.
You know, so
Yeah.
I don't think they were looking into it as
Exactly.
hard as...
Yeah. And so it just went cold
Mm-hmm.
like that. But shout out to detectives Ryan Avis and Jim Doty, because they decided they wanted to take a second look at this case because it really interested them. It was a local case, and they just thought it was really fishy. And they decided to take a different approach on things this time. So they decided that Detective Doty is going to look at the case as if she's dead, and Detective Avis is going to look at the case as if she's alive. And in doing this, Avis realized that there was no way he could prove that Cari was alive. I mean, she hadn't spent any money. She hadn't talked to anyone over the phone. No one's seen her. She didn't have anything. Her car was gone.
Zero paper
there was
trail.
no way.
Yeah.
He said it wasn't possible. She went off the grid, like I said, and somehow was still using her phone, paying a phone bill.
Yeah.
That it wasn't possible. So they also realized how different the messages seemed to be from Cari. The way she wrote and spoke, it wasn't like Cari. They matched it up to old messages that Cari had actually sent, and the punctuation was different, the words were different. Cari was someone who's very smart and sophisticated, very classy, and her messages showed that. But these new messages from Cari are like using the letter R and the letter U, you know what I mean?
It was
just
very
not
half-assed.
punctuated. Yeah, it's just very quick, like you are a whore, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, just not how
her.
Cari would speak, not how she would speak. So after realizing all these things, they decided to reopen the case as if Cari was dead. And Detective Doty said Liz really stuck out to him in this case because he said she seemed to be the main focus of all of it, and it was very bizarre because of the small interaction they'd had. So he was just very curious to see if she knew anything more than she let on, but he was kind of starting to think she was a little fishy. The detectives decided to have a digital forensics administrator named Anthony Cava take a look at the messages and information on Dave and Liz's phones again. So when they first reported all the stalking, they had given their phones to police to be analyzed. Yeah. So it was just the first few messages that were analyzed, nothing crazy. Like they couldn't access deleted things or anything like that, and they didn't have all the updated information on there. So when they were looking back on there, they found a picture of Cari's black Ford Explorer on Liz's phone that they somehow missed. And when they looked at the picture, they realized it was taken about a month before the police even found Cari's car. So somehow Liz had a photo of Cari's car a month before anyone had discovered it.
For somebody she didn't meet.
Yeah.
You didn't know this person.
That's very weird. They also found that Liz had made several calls to Cari's house using star 67 to hide her identity, which, like we've been saying, for someone that you didn't really know is extremely weird, especially when you have been saying that that's the only time you ever spoke.
Yeah, you
or
only
talked.
saw her in that one passing.
Yeah, for you to say that and then for these calls to be on your phone.
For somebody you didn't know. So, why are they there?
Yeah, it makes you look a little suspicious.
Psycho.
A little suspicious, okay? They also found that photo of Liz tied up in the trunk on her own phone, taken off of her own phone. The data analysis showed that it was taken off her own phone. It literally looks like a selfie. I'll put it in.
This fucking bitch tied herself up.
How do you...
Taped her mouth, put herself in the trunk of her own car, and took a picture. Like she had been kidnapped. The fuck?
The lengths she went to.
That's so much work.
It's a lot. Yeah.
Also, were you just laying in bed and you're like, ways to make this look real?
Right. Ways
Tie
to spice it
myself
up.
up.
Check.
Why?
That is extreme and crazy. That's crazy bitch behavior.
You could have just stayed crazy with the text messages.
Oh, yeah. She went above and beyond.
You kidnapped yourself.
You kidnapped yourself. You burned your house down.
You killed
your dog.
Pets.
Your cat. Your snake.
Dirty, dirty bitch.
You dirty bitch. You are a dirty whore, Liz.
Oh.
Whore from Peyton and Kate, Liz. Whore from Peyton and Kate. Anyways, so obviously Liz is looking extremely guilty.
Clearly.
Yeah. So please go to Cari's mother to inform her that they've reopened the case and that they don't think Cari left on her own free will. And for her mom to hear this from the police, this is the first time she's heard that. Because she's been saying this all along, that this isn't my daughter, I know it.
The first time anybody's doing anything.
And the first time anyone believes her. And is saying that they understand that Cari didn't leave on her own. And like her mom even said that when at first when the police called her, she was rude. She was like, I feel bad because when I answered the phone, she's so sweet. She's like, I feel bad because when I answered the phone, I was being kind of mean. And then they said that and I just broke down. And it's so sad.
I feel like at this point, though, I would have been rude too.
Oh, yeah.
Because you literally
like,
done nothing. And I've been
want?
telling you for 2 years something isn't right. And you fucking did nothing.
Nothing.
You just sat there. When all of this could have been dealt with and moved forward 2 fucking years ago.
Exactly. It could have been over.
Done.
Yeah.
I could have grieved already.
She knew that her daughter wasn't around. She just wanted closure.
Yes.
And
like any mother would.
Exactly. Anyone. This was a big, big thing for her. And she was just really happy that they were looking at the case. And so they began to ask her some more questions and dive deeper into the case. I don't know if this part never came up to police before. I feel like it did, but they just didn't do anything because Nancy obviously would have given them everything she had. And I think she gave this to police. But they found that a few days after Cari went missing, her mother, Nancy, had been told by Cari that she was selling all of her furniture and someone was coming to pick it up and give her a check. Yeah. So Cari then sent her a picture of this check, and they figured out this check was made out to a Shayna Goyer, aka Liz. Are you dumb? You could tell Liz just thought she was so smart. Oh, she thought she was the smartest person.
You've gone so far. You've gone so far.
To be so sloppy.
To have that one thing.
With your name on it.
You tied yourself up. You put yourself in a trunk. You figured out how to send text messages to yourself and that guy
and somehow,
at the same time. And somehow your dumbass signed the check.
You couldn't just wire her cash.
PayPal existed in 2012.
Or even a bank in an envelope.
Fucking Western Union.
Yeah.
But you signed the check.
Yeah.
You got sloppy.
So sloppy.
So sloppy.
And it's so evident as she gets caught more and more in this case. So after they see the check, obviously, they're thinking Liz did it. So now they decide to run Liz's fingerprint against the one found in Cari's car because Dave and Liz had both agreed to be DNA tested from the down under.
You guys remember from the mint box?
Yes.
Was it a mint box?
Yeah, the mint container.
That was found in the car.
Yeah, in the cup holder.
Which was the only piece of DNA they found.
Yeah. And I don't know why they never ran it before when they got it. Because they just had it from the first time they interviewed them. Which doesn't make sense.
You found one single fingerprint.
Wouldn't you test everybody you talked to?
You didn't think the car was too fucking clean?
Right?
And you didn't think to test that one fingerprint.
No, it's very frustrating. But when they finally do run the fingerprint, they found that it's a match.
Bum, bum, bum.
It belongs to Liz.
No shit.
The evidence is pretty damning at this point, so they tell Dave that Liz is a suspect, and he doesn't believe it. They tell him not to say anything, obviously, but he's like, there's no way, because I've been next to her when she's received messages.
But I would have done the same thing.
Oh, yeah. I would have been like, you're crazy,
how?
no.
We were getting the same text messages at the same time.
Right next to each other.
She was literally sitting next to me when she was getting them.
She couldn't have done it.
Right. I never would have thought it either.
No, I don't blame him for that, but he just didn't believe it.
I didn't even know this was a thing that you could do.
I know. This shocked me. We later find out that Liz was able to have an app on her phone that sends the messages, but we'll get there in a second to talk about everything else on Liz's phone. Right around this time, Dave also realizes that his Smith & Wesson gun that he had bought that I mentioned earlier, it was just missing. So he reported it stolen to the police.
Thank God. Thank you for reporting your missing gun.
Yeah. We did give Div. What the fuck is up with your name, Dave? I either love it or can't say it.
She just wants to keep saying it.
I do, I guess. I don't know. Ew. I would never date a Dave. That's a hard name to say.
Dave from Wendy's. Let's take it back.
But we do give Dave a lot of shit, or we did. But I mean, he did do pretty good in this case, I guess, with reporting everything.
I guess it's hard because
we've never been there.
No, and you don't really. What is the right way?
Right.
To
how do you go
handle
about
a
it?
Psycho
bitch.
the right way to handle a psycho one-night stand.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what
yeah.
I mean?
Yeah.
Because they weren't dating.
Yeah,
It had
so
only been a
sorry.
few weeks. So how do you know?
Right.
How do you know how to handle this?
Sorry, Dave. We apologize for giving you
I'm
shit
kind of
earlier.
sorry. I'm not as sorry as
You're
she is.
still a player.
Nah.
Yeah. In December of 2015, Liz Goyer walks into the police station to file a harassment claim on
Dame.
that guy we're talking about, the guy
Dame.
who this case is about, his ex-girlfriend Amy Flora.
Dame.
That guy. What the fuck? God. She walks in and files a harassment claim on his ex-girlfriend Amy Flora because now she says that she thinks that Amy's the one stalking
been doing
her
this
and
the whole
them.
time?
Not Liz.
All of it.
All of it. Or not Liz, not Cari.
Yeah.
She thinks that Cari's actually dead and that Amy killed her.
Amy did it.
And Amy is the one stalking her because it just makes no sense. That's what Liz says. And so
Why wouldn't it be the baby mama?
I think she was starting to see that police were catching on to her because they were lurking around again, talking about Cari. So she's getting a little nervous.
She started to panic.
Yeah.
And in like true form, when you start to panic, you don't think rational. You just react.
And that's exactly what she's doing this whole time.
Almost giving herself away.
You can see her drowning.
It's
Yeah.
unraveling.
Yeah.
Your game is unfolding.
You've been caught, bitch.
You're starting to show your hand.
So when she goes in there, Detective Avis and Detective Doty are like, oh my God, there's no way this bitch just tried to say it was her. So Avis decides that he wants to drive down to Liz's house to follow up on the complaint, but he's kind of just doing it to get more information out of her. So she's saying how she thinks it's Cari now, and there's actually audio for that, so we can insert that here too.
Hi, was it Shannon?
Yeah, or Liz.
My sergeant you had just talked to? And he said that you were trying to file harassment?
Yeah, a harassment. The reports have been made against Cari Farver.
Cari
She
Farver?
used to date, yes, F-A-R. She used to date my boyfriend, only for about 2 weeks. They only dated for 2 weeks, and I don't understand why a person would still be stalking him almost 3 years later. It's getting ridiculous. She keeps stalking me on Facebook.
So Amy still would like to be with Dave?
I'm guessing. I don't know.
Okay.
I have no clue. I just want her to leave me alone.
What the fuck?
You know, maybe you did this when you were a kid, where you would lie, and in almost to cover your lie, you would tell another lie.
Oh, yeah.
People are guilty of this all over the
Yeah,
place.
because you can't help but snowball.
So you're scared
of
like
getting
it
in trouble.
starts so little, and then it just keeps growing and growing and
Yeah.
growing until you're so far buried in where that original lie was
Yeah.
that you just pull something random out of your ass.
Oh, yeah.
This bitch pulled deep up.
And her saying, like, there's no way they only dated for
She
2
would
weeks. Why would she do that?
never.
You're right. There is no way.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We know. And honestly, say that police weren't even suspecting Liz and she said that, I would start looking at her. That's just stupid.
It's just
You're
that,
reopening it because you're scared.
why are you coming to me now?
Yeah.
Like, why now?
All of a
sudden you have
sudden.
an answer.
Yeah.
For all of it.
Like, when you have realized that in the beginning, like all of us.
Made yourself look so
Almost.
guilty.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you've just given yourself away. It would have been easier for you to walk your fat ass down there. I'm sorry. It would have been easier for you to walk your ass down there and just be like, it was me.
Yeah.
I fucking did all of this.
Come on.
Instead of pulling this random girl into it,
Just give it up.
because you've buried yourself.
She continues to bury herself with this
frustrating.
interview, which is so funny because all the information they had at the time was from the first time Liz and Dave let them have their phones. And Detective Avis asked Liz while he's there if she would sign a consent form for him to look through her phone again so he can investigate further into this Amy Flora
And
shit.
she willingly does it.
And she does it.
She will, like, it was almost like she just didn't.
She didn't think she would get caught.
No,
she thought she
really
was too
didn't think
smart.
that this could happen.
No. But yeah, she agrees. This was huge for them because now they could access everything on her phone. Everything she even deleted.
Like, she actually thought that that's it, though. That, like, you could delete it and you'll never find it again.
Exactly, because she was stupid.
Oh, my God.
She wasn't as smart as she thought she was. Liz also said that she knew Daig's gun was missing and that she thought Amy Flora had stolen it. And when Detective Avis asked her about the gun, all she could really say was that it was a Smith & Wesson. I think she said it was a 9mm. I don't remember, but she didn't really...
Liz said this?
Liz did, yeah. She didn't really give many details besides...
Would you know, like...
She said she only knew because she saw the outside of the box.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because the outside of the box says gun in here, here's brand.
Well, it said Smith & Wesson on it. I don't know, like, to me it looked like a Louis Vuitton box. It's like orange, Smith & Wesson. That's what the picture
That's what the
like,
case came in?
I think that's what it looked like, yeah. That's what she said, acting like she'd never seen it before besides the box. Detective Avis said she was super vague about it, and it was just weird that
why
she even brought it up.
Why would she have ever seen the box? Because didn't you keep it in, like, it was away. It was put on.
Yeah.
So, like, why would you have ever seen the box?
I don't know.
You know, it wasn't like he was fucking John Wayne.
Like, look, I bought a gun.
Here's my gun.
Like, no. So... Avis thought that was super weird that she was bringing it up. The next day, after what we just heard and what she just said, the next day, Liz makes a 911 phone call claiming that someone had come up behind her at the park and shot her in the leg. And we can play that call
like
for
pow,
you now.
Pow.
What's the address of your emergency?
I've been shot in the leg. Oh, my leg is filled with blood. Oh, Jesus.
The assailant still nearby?
I don't think so. I took off running.
Do you know what she looked like at all?
No, she's behind me.
Listen. Not even Jesus can help you.
No one can, girl. No one.
I've been shot.
Yeah. So Liz claimed that she was walking alone at Big Lake Park in Council Bluffs, Iowa.
In the middle of the night.
In the middle of the night. It was like, it was like 6 o'clock at night. I heard like 6:30 p.m.
Wasn't it December?
Yeah.
Okay, so dark.
It's weird. Yeah, it was nighttime. And it was just a weird...
Also, if
weird
you
thing.
live in the Midwest, even in Nebraska, nobody's fucking out walking at 6 o'clock at night in December.
And I don't know why she went to Iowa when she lives in Omaha. Maybe it was just prettier.
Okay, so Omaha is right here, and Council Bluffs is literally...
Oh, state line type thing.
It's right next to it.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, it's not far, far away.
Yeah.
It's like us driving from here to Milton.
Oh, okay. That's not
it's
far.
like right there.
Yeah. Okay.
Fun facts that I don't know why I know.
But she said she was walking alone at Big Lake Park in Council Bluffs, Iowa, when a woman came up behind her and said, "How do you like fucking Dave?" And then shot her in the leg and ran off. At first, she said she didn't know who did it, but then started pointing the finger at Amy Flora, like, right away. First, she was like, "I don't know." Like, on the call, she was like, "I don't know who would have done it." And then right after, she was like, "It was Amy."
The amount of effort it takes to shoot yourself.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
You shot yourself
That's
to cover
courage.
your ass.
She's got balls. I'll say that.
It's balls.
That's balls. I could never.
Balls
Are you
would
kidding
have
me?
been leaving this the fuck alone.
Balls would have been not doing any of this.
To just let fate do what it
Oh,
needs
yeah.
to. You shot yourself.
Still, though, I mean, could you shoot yourself?
Fuck no.
Exactly.
I definitely couldn't shoot myself and be like, the guy that I'm not banging, but that I was banging and I'm not banging anymore is ex baby mama shot me.
What the fuck? It just doesn't make any sense. It doesn't add up. No.
At all.
No.
Like, not even a piece.
There's so much wrong with her. But Amy Flora was cleared that night by detectives.
Of course.
Yeah, they were obviously like, "No, you're fine." She had an alibi and everything. That evening, Detective Avis said he knew right away that Liz shot herself. There was no doubt. Like, they weren't even thinking it was Cari or Amy.
Or that, like, she was mugged or...
No. They knew. They were like, yeah, this fucking psycho bitch.
Fucking Dave?
Oh, how do you like fucking Dave?
Boom.
Huh?
Also,
What?
if you were gonna, like, shoot your girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever, other person,
Right.
would that be the smooth line that you used?
No.
You know what I mean? Like, how do you like fucking Dave?
Actually,
Boom.
it might have been.
For you, I feel like
That's
it
kind
would
of a
be.
good one. How do you like fucking Dave, bitch?
See, I'm an asshole and I would have tortured you before I shot you.
Yeah, you would have.
I would have
You would
actually
have played
tied you
with
up
your
and put you in the
food.
trunk.
Yeah.
We would have tied you to a tree.
See, I couldn't do that. I'd do what she
You
said.
couldn't-
I'd be much
tried
more
killing a
sudden.
spider. I couldn't actually do this. But
I was just planning a murder on our podcast.
fine.
Who wants
I'm
to
sorry,
volunteer? Anyways, take another shot.
shot.
Shots, everybody. Detective Ava said it was super weird that she mentioned Dave's missing gun before, and he knew that that was probably the one that she used to shoot herself. And after this, Dave finally believes police. He was like, okay, no one else would have had access to my gun. Super weird that she just got shot after my gun goes missing. So finally, he believes it's Liz and not Cari. Finally. I know.
You
Poor
guys are
Dave.
dead.
I know. So, meanwhile, Liz's phone is showing more incriminating evidence. Anthony Cava, the digital forensics investigator I mentioned before, had found that Liz made around 20 to 30 fake emails using different variations of Cari's name. Yeah. So, and some of them were even spelled wrong, I saw. Like,
Yeah.
Cari with a K.
Yeah.
How did they not realize that? A lot of it's just so sloppy.
You know, like when you're just like scanning.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, this kind of looks like, and you just keep
Yeah.
it going. I feel like that's what it was. They didn't actually really want to look as far deep into
Yeah.
this as they had to.
Well, see, here's the issue I come to, though. So if someone emailed me with, as you, like right when we met, as Kate with a C, I still would have been like, huh? But actually, no, I guess I would have been like,
Like, would you have
maybe
thought about
she
it?
did. Maybe there wasn't. And maybe she didn't have the option for Kate with a K.
Or maybe all the Kates with the K were taken.
Yeah, that's what I
You
mean.
know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. Okay, that makes sense. I feel less angry about that now.
I'm still angry, but it's a valid point.
Now I get it. That's when they found that app on her phone too that made it able for her to schedule when text messages would be sent. So she would set up timed messages where she would be with Dave, so she would get text too, and he would get text, so it looked like it wasn't her. So she looked like she hadn't. It could be she had an alibi.
There's a fucking app for this.
Yeah.
There's a fucking app for this.
The worst thing about this case, not the worst thing, I mean there's a lot of bad things, someone got seriously fucked up, but Anthony Cava said that she must have spent over 40 hours a week impersonating Cari. That's a fucking full-time job.
Her full-time job was Psycho.
She was like a nurse too, I think. I remember in all the interviews, she has like scrubs on. So I don't know if she was like a nurse or what.
Fucking janitor.
But she had a job and was still spending 40 hours a week doing this. That's psycho.
It's like next level.
Oh, insane.
It is. Like, what's another word for psycho? Like, what's a higher word for psycho?
Sociopathic? I don't know. I feel like psycho's more than sociopath.
Yeah. But, like, I feel like if you can go a level higher.
She's...
Because psychotic just doesn't... It doesn't cover...
Whenever I think of like an example to use for that, I think of like the Ted Bundy title with the Ted Bundy movie, extremely wicked, vile.
Yeah.
What the judge called Ted Bundy in court. But like, yeah, just disgusting.
It's so methodical.
Methodical. Cake out breathive.
Methodical. That it's so calculated.
Yeah.
That I almost like. I want to sit down and have a conversation with her.
Oh yeah.
I want her to connect all the dots for me. I need to know the thought process.
I want to know what went through her head. But
Literally.
I don't think
like was there
anyone
ever
will.
a panic? Like, did you in your brain go, "Oh shit, I'm about to get caught. Let me shoot myself."
I would love to talk to like any murderer or killer and know what their brain went through in cases like this.
Yeah, but like in most of them, most serial killers, there's a huge background that's bigger than just jealousy.
But yeah, that's what I mean. I want to talk to someone like her who just seem to be crazy for no reason.
You killed somebody you met in passing.
Didn't even speak to.
Like, there wasn't even eye contact.
No,
But
not at all.
your brain instantly went to insecurity.
Yeah.
Were you not hugged enough as a child? Do you need a hug? Well, like, what?
Something had to have gone on.
What
in her
is your
childhood.
abandonment issue? Because I
Yeah.
cannot.
No, something had to have gone on. There's usually always something in cases where someone's fucking crazy.
But I feel like almost in this case, and I could be wrong because I don't know anything about her growing up.
Yeah, there wasn't really much on that.
No.
I tried to find some because I'm always interested in that
But
stuff.
I almost feel like she lived a very normal life.
Yeah.
That
She
like this
seemed
was
normal.
just like in the beginning, like if you watch the 2020 special, they talk about how she loved taking selfies and sending them to her friends.
Yeah.
So I feel like this was a very, I'm better than
Yeah.
all of you.
And this was before Snapchat, so it wasn't like, you know what I mean? She
No,
was
the
like
shit was
Snapchatting
like
people.
digital
Like,
camera.
Yeah, and just like send them with no context. Like, hey, here's my forehead.
So like I just feel like she was just a
very
vain
insecure. Yeah. She was insecure but vain, yeah.
Like it was her insecurities that made her react this way.
Yeah. She was a true narcissist almost.
Yes.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
That's what I'm looking
Yeah,
for. Like,
true
that's it.
narcissist.
Yes.
So, after Liz gets all healed up and everything from literally shooting herself.
Because she shot herself.
Detectives bring her in to get some more information to kind of set her up. They say that they found some remains that they think may be Cari, which was a lie. They had no remains and still never found any. But they ask her who she thinks may have wanted to do this to Cari, and immediately she's Amy Flora did it. So in this investigation, after all that, they ask Liz to contact Amy and try to get her to talk about what happened to Cari. And Liz agrees. I think in her brain, she was complying with police to not look guilty, which I mean is smart in a
buried
sense,
her.
but what?
It literally buried her. Like,
Yeah.
this is what buried you.
Yeah.
You were so busy trying to make it look like you weren't the bad guy that you made yourself look like the bad guy.
that you showed that you were the bad guy.
Yes. Like,
Yeah.
tell me you're the bad guy without telling me you're the bad guy.
Exactly what it was too. She really did. But yeah, she agrees to it, and she gets right to work making fake emails from Amy admitting to shooting Liz at the park and killing Cari. So all of a sudden, right after they ask Liz, hey, can you talk to Amy? There's a fake email from Amy saying, yeah, I killed Cari, and yeah, I shot ya.
Because, you know, that's something everybody sends in an email.
Oh yeah, obviously you've
Yeah, I
gotten
did
away
it.
with murder for 3 years and shoot somebody, you're just gonna confess to it.
It's about as bad as, like, just murdering somebody on, like, TikTok.
Yeah, or like in front of people,
Yeah.
like going to a coffee shop and just killing someone and being like,
How
you
dare
did
you?
that.
Yeah.
Rude.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, it was just stupid. So the police obviously can't do anything about it because they know it's fake. And Liz gets pissed because they haven't arrested Amy yet, and she confessed to it. And so she calls the detectives, and we can play that audio now. It is the most embarrassing thing I've ever heard.
Like, it's cringy.
It's so cringy.
Looks like the only person that benefited was her. So she gets to shoot somebody, and then she gets to kill another person, and then she gets to move in with Dave, and she gets to be free. And you guys aren't arresting her.
What the
The
fuck?
tears. The fuck. Like, she's so mad at this.
That is the most incriminating thing I think.
It was also
she
the most
ever
emotion
sounded.
she's had
Yeah.
through fucking anything.
Yeah. So she gets to be happy, and she gets to live with Dave, and I get to sit out
She
here.
gets
just
what I want.
I
I've put
literally
in this
killed
work.
someone
I've
for
done
him.
all of this, and I get nothing. This is what
Yeah.
she's pissed about.
It's literally her being like, look at all I did to be with you, and now I can't. Because something I forgot to mention was that the detectives actually pushed Dave to move in with Amy, so they could get this reaction from her, and it worked.
Because it told on her.
Yeah, it absolutely
She literally
told
on herself.
Oh, yeah. They tell Liz that in order to be able to arrest Amy, they need details from her. Details only a killer would know. So, sure enough, Liz starts getting emails from Amy saying exactly where the murder took place, what happened. She says that she stabbed Cari 3 to 4 times and then put her body in a garbage bag. And they said in the email that the crime had taken place in Cari's car. So that's where they began to investigate again. And like I said, they searched Cari's car multiple times. So this time they decided to rip the thing apart, which I don't know why they didn't do in the first place.
Especially with a missing person.
Yeah. Wouldn't you look everywhere?
I mean, they
searched the surface.
Why wouldn't you rip upholstery out? Like, why wouldn't you test for blood? Like,
and
why wouldn't you?
That's what they did now. Finally.
Now.
Right. So after they rip up all the cloth seating in Cari's car, they find a big red blood stain on the seat, which was determined to be Cari's blood. It was a match for Cari. So at this point, it's now a homicide and no longer a missing person. So they know Cari's not doing this. Come on. Now it's just a matter of when can we arrest
I feel like as a detective, like I would have just kept dragging this out to see who else she could blame.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, who
is
else
she going to say it's Dave now? Yeah. I think that would have been her next move one. Because he was living with Amy. If I can't have you, no one can. Yep. Unless she would have killed Amy. That could have happened. Yeah. Could have. If she got angry enough, it would have been either she would have blamed Dave.
And it would have been blatant and obvious because at this point she's just pissed.
Oh, yeah. And it would have been sloppy. Maybe Dave would have been there and she would have been like, this is for you, Dave.
Yeah, it would have been Lifetime special.
Oh, yeah.
Dramatic.
I'm glad that didn't happen, though. Amy, I'm glad you're still alive. So since this homicide had taken place in Omaha, because that's where everything really happened, the case was handed over to Detective Schneider. Well, not handed over. He joined the case. And he's the one who actually decides to bring in Liz for questioning. And this is also one of my favorite interviews out of this because she sounds like a little kid who just got caught like looking at boobs for the first time and is trying
Mom
to
just
no
caught
I didn't
porn.
no I didn't it wasn't me, you know what I mean? So
Mom walks in with your dick in your hand
exactly and he's like, it wasn't what you think it was. So he shows her all the evidence and we can play that now. It's just really, it's kind of funny.
Now, the reason why you're in this chair right now today is because you have a lot of questions that you need to answer for me. Her phone was at your house right after she disappeared. And I want to ask you how you can explain that to me, please.
She's never been to my house.
Your fingerprints are inside her vehicle. How would your fingerprints be inside her vehicle?
I don't know, because I've never been in her car.
You drove her car.
No, I didn't. I've never been inside her car. I've never even been around her car. Ever.
Your fingerprints are in there.
No, I haven't. I'm not lying. I've never been around her car. I've never even seen it.
So defensive. Like, that's not like a holy shit, do you really think that, like, I did this?
Right. It's not like, oh my God, really?
It wasn't me. I didn't do it.
Yeah.
I'm not lying.
My favorite part is, so I'm one of the world's worst liars ever. My mom can testify for this. I think you could testify for this too, because you can tell if I'm lying, if I'm under the influence, you can tell anything. And almost like anyone can tell when I'm lying because I'm terrible. And when I was in like middle school, I remember like the way I would get caught lying is because I would fuck up my words. And so like when he was saying, your fingerprints are in her car. No, I haven't. Bitch, that doesn't even make sense.
No, not only that, but
you're just scared.
If you have to say, I'm not lying.
You're lying.
You're lying.
He didn't say you were lying.
No, he never
just said
once
the
said
evidence.
you were lying. I'm not lying.
Like,
you're
getting defensive.
You're sitting with your arms crossed. You're immediately defensive. Mm-hmm. It's like calling a kid into the principal's office.
Yeah.
Like, you know you fucked up.
Yeah.
You know you fucked up.
Yeah, it's when you know you're caught, but you don't want to be caught so bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, so she was being kind of like a fucking child.
Brat.
And while this is all happening, Detective Doty and Avis were actually getting a search warrant to search her apartment. And obviously they got the warrant. And in searching her apartment, they found Cari's camera and camcorder. So it's officially Liz. They found a video on Cari's camcorder of, I think it was 2 days before she went missing. of Cari recording her car that was vandalized the night before, and we can play that now. And in this video, Cari, this is what I mean. She just seemed so sweet, and she had a sense of humor about the situation. It's just chilling to know that her car was vandalized right before she went missing.
So Thursday night, apparently somebody here in the whopping metropolis of Macedonia, Iowa, decided Max's Explorer was not the right color. We're gonna go see if we can fix that. Somebody thought they were quite the artist. There's some all over the hood.
For her to even have like a sense of humor in that situation.
Yeah, because I wouldn't have.
No, she was just
I'd
like,
been pissed.
Someone thought they were quite the artist. Like, that just shows how kind-hearted of a person she was. Like, I'm sure she was like upset about it, but even she was making a joke out of it, filming like, haha.
I mean, at the end of the day, she never gave this woman a reason to not like her.
No, she didn't give anyone a reason to not like her. It's why this case was so difficult.
That, like, she just happened to be sleeping with the guy that you were obsessed with. She didn't know you even existed.
She met the wrong person at the wrong time.
Basically.
It was just an unfortunate thing for Cari Farver. She was an innocent woman who just wanted to have some fun with a guy she met in Omaha.
She just wanted to bang it out.
She just wanted to bang it out.
You know, maybe a bed to sleep in sometimes.
Yeah.
A free meal.
To get to sleep in before she goes to work.
I mean,
that's all she wanted. It's really unfortunate. Finally, after this, they have enough evidence to arrest Liz. And on December 22nd in 2016, Shayna Liz Goyer was arrested and charged for the murder of Cari Farver. Fucking finally, 4 years.
4 years.
4 years after she'd
guys.
gone missing. She finally gets arrested, which is insane that this went on for that long. Like, yes, there wasn't a lot of evidence until they found the evidence, but if they would have just looked or considered her when all the weird shit was happening, they would have found it right away. Because she had this stuff for years.
But they never looked into it.
Because they just thought she was another woman going crazy, off the rails.
She just didn't take her meds and disappeared.
But the only woman off the rails here is
was
Liz
the bitch who did
Goyer.
it.
Yeah. The prosecutor on this case, Brenda Beadle, said this was one of the most difficult cases she's ever had. She said it was super hard to get someone to believe that someone would do this, that someone would kill their pets, shoot themselves. It was hard to prove that it was Liz.
Messages.
Yeah.
I mean, she went above and beyond to make herself look like the victim.
Yeah.
It's psycho.
Oh, yeah. And it was easy to prove that Cari had been murdered, but it was more difficult to prove that it was Liz who did it, even though all the evidence on her phone. Fortunately, I guess for Liz's side of the case, so her lawyer, his name was James Martin Davis, he asked for a bench trial instead of a jury trial because there was no body. And if you don't know what a bench trial is, it's a trial by judge, not a jury. But since there was no body, he wanted to do a bench trial because it would speed it up faster. So he was hoping they wouldn't find a body, because if they found a body, he knew he was going to be toast.
Oh, yeah.
That it was going to be able to pin that back to her. But without it, there wasn't a homicide officially. You know what I mean? So they thought it was going to be kind of easy to get Liz off, but it wasn't, because unfortunately for them,
she's a dumb bitch.
Yeah. Dave Krupa actually had found an old tablet in a storage unit that had one of Liz's old phone memory cards in it. So he handed it over to investigators, hoping maybe there'd be some more evidence on there so she can be put away for fucking ever, as she should be. There was pretty damning evidence on there, I
would say it was the nail in the coffin.
It was absolutely the nail in the coffin, because among many unflattering selfies she had taken, so many, by the way, many, there was also a picture of a decomposing foot with a tattoo of a Chinese symbol on it. And Cari Farver had actually that same tattoo in the same exact place, which just confirmed that Liz killed Cari Farver. Because, I mean, this foot was a dead person's foot.
Years.
It was yellow.
Of decomposing.
Yeah. And she had a picture, which is even, it makes this so cemented how sick she was. It wasn't like she killed Cari in a blind rage. It was like she killed her and she loved that she killed her because she kept the trophy.
I mean, she loved that she was getting away with it all.
Yes.
So it was almost like
she was such a narcissist.
I need to go back and look at my trinkets.
Look
at what I've collected.
What I got away with.
That I'm still getting away with.
I'm so smart.
You buried yourself.
Yeah. Also, weird fact, my mom has that tattoo. Yeah, on the back of her neck.
Really?
Yeah.
I feel like that was like the thing though.
Yeah, it says, her tattoo said mother, and so my mom has that one too. But yeah, like that's the most like sad part too, but also it's kind of bittersweet in a way that the only evidence they really have besides the blood of Cari actually like being dead is the foot
Her
with it
dead
saying
foot.
mother.
Yeah.
And which is just ironic because her being a mother was
the most important thing to her.
It was, yeah. And it was like a bittersweet thing that was the last thing seen of Cari, you know what I mean? Her mother tattoo. When it got to court, Liz was a stone cold bitch. She didn't show any emotions. I don't think she even said anything.
I don't think she believed she was actually going to do time for this.
No.
I don't think she believed that she would get in trouble.
Because she thought she was so smart.
Yeah.
That's,
she honestly thought she outsmarted the system.
and that is a theme with women killers I've noticed. In us researching for this series, I've noticed that a lot of women seem to think they are too smart to get away with this. And I'm not going to suck our own dicks. Women are pretty smart, but
We
they
can
get
get away
cockier.
with it for a while.
Yeah, I have noticed they do get away with it longer than men.
But I think
and that's
that-
why they think they're so smart.
I don't know if it makes it smart or makes the system dumb to women.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
I think it's a mixture
like,
of
I think
both.
we're underrated
Yeah.
in what we're capable of actually
Oh, yeah.
doing.
It's the same thing when it comes to like relationships. It's like the stigma that men always cheat, but I know way more girls that have cheated than
Amen.
men. So I think it's like similar to that stigma where it's like a woman doesn't really do that often.
A woman
they
wouldn't do
You
that.
just don't hear about it because it's
We're
not as
smart enough
suspected.
to keep our fucking mouth shut.
Yes, but apparently not Liz in this case.
No.
She, like I said, she showed no emotions. You can tell she had no remorse for what she did. Like you
None.
said, she seemed like she thought
She
was
just
gonna
didn't
get
think she
away
was
with
going to
it.
get caught.
No.
Like, she didn't think that she would get in trouble for this. She honestly thought she was going to be fine.
But after that picture, the foot was found in 2017, Shayna Liz Goyer was sentenced to life in prison for first-degree murder and remains at the Nebraska Correctional Facility for Women. And that's where she will remain for the rest of her life. Dave and Cari's family have made it all very clear that they want her to stay behind bars forever and never want her to be out.
She should.
Oh, yeah. She should rot in there.
Yes. What does it say? Like, I'm sorry for Liz's family that, like, this happened.
Right.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Both Dave and Cari's mother, Nancy, said they're extremely grateful for Detectives Jody and Avis and Digital Forensics Administrator Anthony Cava, sorry. But, I mean, honestly, yeah, without them, this case would still be cold. So, shout out to Dodi and Avis for that.
How long do you think she would have gone if they hadn't started to piece this together? Do you think that, like, it would still be going?
I think so.
Do you think that, like, she would find
think-
somebody else to fix it on?
I think it would have gone to the point where she would either have killed Amy Flora because, I mean, it was kind of inevitable.
That was, like, the next step.
Yeah, Dave was going to get back with her. I think she would have killed Amy Flora or Dave because there was
Or
no
both.
way Dave was going to commit to her. And I think she kind of knew that deep down that she wasn't getting that. Maybe not, though. I don't know. She was crazy.
I don't know if that ever registered in her head.
I don't think
You know
so.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, she was delusional enough to think that this is how you get somebody.
That's true. So I don't think she even thought that she would never get Dave. I think there was no length she
I
wouldn't
would
go
love
to
to
get him.
read a journal from her.
Yes.
Dear Diary.
That's why I love when killers write books.
Today I cut off a foot.
Right.
I took a
Today
picture so I could
selfie.
remember it forever.
And then I tied myself up in a trunk and taped my mouth shut.
And then I took a selfie. And I
Again.
sent it to Dave. Oh,
Oh,
Dave.
Oh, my love. She sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rotten pieces.
Seriously. I just thought it'd be fun to mention a little bit what happened to Cari's family after. So Nancy actually ended up raising Cari's son Max until he moved to college and became an adult. Max is currently attending Iowa State University and getting a degree in software engineering and data science. And he's set to graduate December of this year, 2021. Yeah. So that's exciting.
Good for you, sir.
Yeah. And it's cool that he's going into data science
Yeah.
because it's ultimately what got
Maybe
his
he'll
mom's
turn
case
into the
solved.
people who helps other families go through something
and
like this.
I feel like I've seen
You
a
know?
lot of
Yeah.
situations where like that happens, where like people whose family members have been murdered or anything like that, like they go into that field a lot of the
Or they
time.
become a murderer.
Yes, it's one of the two usually. But Max and Nancy still live very close to each other, even though they don't live together, and they remain each other's support system because Nancy is kind of like his caretaker in a way. Nancy says she wants her daughter to be remembered as the talented, fun-loving, smart woman she was, which is really sweet because she seemed like she was all of those things. But that is the tragic and chilling disappearance of Cari Farver. Crazy, right? Did you guys like it?
I
any
feel like
feedback?
we have now scared every girl who
I
ever
know.
gets told, oh, that's just my crazy ex.
I know. That doesn't mean that they're
You
dead.
might not die.
And
you could, but you
also,
might not.
Girls, if he says he has a crazy ex, she's definitely not like this. He probably did something to piss her off.
However,
just gonna put that out there.
It is 2021, so anything's possible.
There's your lesson for the day.
Just saying.
That's the lesson of this
Pay
podcast.
attention to the red flags.
Pay attention to the red flags. Yeah.
Maybe learn to run.
Crazy ass case, huh?
It's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot to fully, even after doing all the research and watching this multiple times, like it's still a crazy story to wrap your brain around.
Doesn't process.
No, ever.
I can't think that someone would be that insane.
No.
It's
just that level.
Yeah.
Like, it's just not normal, for lack of a better word.
Yeah, I agree.
Ugh.
I know.
Ugh.
Well, guys, I think that's where we're going to wrap it up.
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
So we will see you next Wednesday.
Next
right?
Wednesday.
Yep. Wednesdays are our uploading days. So we'll see you on Wednesdays. We're going to be covering some more crazy women. So
It's
let
our
us
favorite.
know. Yeah.
This one's going to be our favorite.
Yeah, this one I'm so excited to
So
talk
I
about
don't
the next
apologize
one.
for anything I say in the next one.
No, the next one, all
It is no holds
boundaries are
barred.
done. Yep. If
Or
you're
might
easily
not.
offended, this isn't
listen,
the podcast
guys,
for you.
if you're easily offended, you're on the wrong show.
Yeah.
You should go somewhere else. Because I'm not promising you that I won't offend you.
And
at
if you
any
do, I'll
point.
try to help whatever she says. I'll try to make up for it.
She
That's why
probably
we
will.
work.
Okay,
and
guys.
the yin to her yang.
Okay. Yes,
yeah.
legit.
Yep.
We will see you next week.
Yes. Make sure to check us out on Instagram and Twitter, all that fun stuff. Our Instagram for the podcast is at 2cultgirls, the number 2. So it's 2cultgirls.
Like the piece.
Yep. And then my Instagram is Paychurch, Puychurch. And Kate's is
Kate Farr with the number 8.
K8Far. So make sure to give us a follow. Stay updated with all of our stuff. We're on TikTok, all of that. I know our personally, we don't use TikTok. Do you use TikTok?
I'm on TikTok, but I don't ever post anything. I'm just a stalker.
I'm not personally on it. I used to be, but I just run
you'll
the
see us on
Two
there.
Cult Girls one. Yeah. So if you want to see us on TikTok, follow us at 2cultgirls and all that stuff. But
Yep.
yeah, guys.
Okay, guys. See you next week.
Bye.